It appears as though, hi everybody. I'm going to believe that we are live right now. So thank you everyone for coming on board. And Miss Linda, can you switch us to speaker view?
That's what's messed up. It's like,
Thank you,
what's
Goddess.
messed up this morning? Me not having coffee.
We're gonna let Linda have get some coffee in her while I do the little introductions here. Thank you, Miss Linda. So I just want to let everyone know who's on the salon today. Well, first of all, thank you for coming here. If this is your first time, thank you for joining us. Oh, Kevin Lockwood's on the show today, and I'm just so freaking excited. And we are going to get all up in our mother feelings today and talk about what it means to be able to integrate heart and mind and walk through our shadows. So anyhow, before I get on to that, let's just introduce people. You may have just saw Linda Coulter-Birch, psychic and conscious business coach. She's in the salon today. She's on drums, and she's also talking in the live chat. Hey, Linda, thanks for being here.
Hey, everybody. I am so excited. I just adore Kevin, and I can't wait for you guys to actually get to have some time with him too. Every experience I have with Kevin just lifts me up higher and deeper. So I can't wait for you guys to experience why Kat and I love him so much.
Yeah, and hats on to Linda for bringing Kevin into my world, into my consciousness. So thank you, Linda. And then Kevin demanded being on the show like right away in our first meeting. I was like, wow, okay.
Linda, you just reminded me, of a PhD. It's just all piled higher and deeper here.
I like it. Get the boots, get the boots. Get thick in here.
And we will be walking through the piles today, but this is going to be unearthed. It's going to be like unpacking the piles. So we're walking into liberation. It's not going to be slogging through. We're going to be like transformation. And so also we have our friend Jillian on bass today. She's an ET and spirit experiencer. Thank you, Jillian, for being this radiant light that you are and being on the show with us today.
Oh, well, thank you. This is my first time experiencing Kevin, so I'm very excited. Thank you.
Yeah, excellent. And then, of course, we have Kevin on, and Kevin is an empathic, trailblazing coach and a personal and professional transformation. Kevin Lockwood on guitar. Kevin, thank you for being here, Kevin. Appreciate you so much.
Thanks, Kat. I love to hear you describe my business. You do it better than I do.
Yeah, well, it's just because I've experienced it, and I was like, oh, these terms don't quite capture it. So I've done a little finessing on your bio that we're going to get into here in just a minute. So just because, again, it's hard to see how fucking awesome you are when you're looking from the inside out, which is what one of Kevin's gifts is. So I kind of just turned it back on him so people could really get how good he is. And then who am I? I'm Kat. I'm an empath, an entrepreneur, and a psychic wrangler, and bringing everybody into the group today. And I'll be on harmonica, putting it all together, hoping that it all flows. So on the show, we do take a fresh look between the veils of reality. And so we're looking at what it means to be an empathic life coach and business coach, and how to transform self-sabotage and bring heart and mind coherence, as well as revealing the gifts of our shadow side. We all have a shadow side. We shouldn't be afraid of it. We should learn to dance with it and befriend it. So please know that down in the description box below, we have links for Kevin. And Kevin does have a meditation and a life coach session that he's offering up to people. So we'll talk more about that at the end, but that is down there. We have our link to Third Eye Salon, to our Facebook page. We'd love for you to join us. And you can also buy us a coffee. There's a link down there, which I didn't realize the link was not working correctly for the last month or so. But yeah, the link's down there. It's working if you'd like to buy us a coffee and support us. And then, of course, we always ask that you share the show if you enjoy it. Give us a thumbs up. Hit the notification bell if you'd like to know when we go live. And please become a subscriber. We're going to be celebrating our 500 subscriber party here soon, but those details are in the making. So now I will hop into Kevin's bio, because I can just feel we all are on fire today wanting to talk. So let me tell you who Kevin is from my understanding of him, as well as his own background. So Kevin Lockwood lives and works as an envoy for peace and an ambassador of love. He brings 30 years of experience to our show today, transforming the lives and inner workings of individuals, Fortune 500 companies, government agencies, and nonprofit organizations in over 50 countries. Kevin asks the questions that compel the doors of heart and mind to swing open and connect, leading to the revelation of the authentic self. His unique empathic abilities allow him to guide clients through the twists and turns of mental and emotional blocks until they are reunited with the undeniable truth of who they are. So you get what I'm saying, that the blocks of mind and emotion, like those are untwisted, those are unpacked until you can't help but encounter your authentic self.
Who is this guy? I want to meet him.
Oh my God, I can't wait to introduce you. Kevin is the founder of EnvoyPeace Coaching and Consulting, creator of Intentional Life Journey Coaching, and author of Be the Designer of Your Life. He is also the executive director of Journey Outreach and former co-director and executive manager of Children's Global Peace Project, two nonprofits dedicated to growing personal awareness, self-emotional intelligence, and human connection. Amazing. Kevin is an empathic trailblazer, bridging the gaps between heart and mind, soul and business, life and living. His mission is to see every one of us living the joy and excitement of being our true, authentic, and passionately alive selves into the world. Thank you for being with us, Kevin Lockwood.
Thank you. That was an amazing bio. You really had to dig in a lot of corners to get all that stuff.
I just had to reflect on my experiences with you. I've had 2 weeks with Kevin as my coach, my life, heart, mind coach, and I have processed more emotions with Kevin in the last 2 weeks than I don't know how long, going into the depths of, it's really personal. So it's hard to even like talk about, but like, it's so personal and intimate and such a revelation of self to self. So I was just wanting to capture the essence of what you've done for me just by living in your gift. That was my intention with your bio.
Thanks.
So, yeah. So as we get into this, I've got a whole stack of questions, and I know that
see what you have to ask me.
And I know that Miss Linda does as well, because this is like, me and Linda are really like, we really kind of jam in on the whole emotional discovery recovery thing. That's definitely things that we are into. But we wanted to first start with like saying we're good, because the title of the show is, you know, motherfucking feelings, because that was like my experience working with Kevin was like, wow, I am all up in my feelings, and this is good. I need to be here. I need to be processing these. I need to finally get to the core of like things that I have been stumbling over unconsciously for how long. So I'm doing it now. I'm doing it. And so Kevin, what is your definition, or how would you convey feelings in words?
I thought you were going to sing for us. Were you going to sing?
Feelings. I'm all up in my feelings. All right, there, I did it. Check the box.
It's a good question. It's a good place to start. Words change meaning over time. They shift in how we understand them, how we use them. You know, Santa Claus brings toys to the good children, right? To the nice ones, and not to the naughty ones. Now, Saint Nicholas did the exact opposite. He brought toys to the naughty children because they had naught. Had nothing. And the nice children were the smart Alex. So it was the naughty children that St. Nicholas brought toys to. So whoa. Isn't that weird how, you know, words can completely change meaning over time? So I'd love to talk about emotion from, you know, a broad perspective view, and then move it into feelings, because we all have different definitions of those. And so I want to get set on definitions I'm going to use today. So
yeah.
This one let's talk about. So this is going to sound really weird. Why am I starting here? There's random number generators that are set all around the world by the Institute of Nomadic Sciences. Now, if you know what a random number generator is, it just spits out ones and zeros, like flipping a coin, right? And as long as it's humming along, it's just going to spit out ones and zeros at an even level, right? For every 51, you're going to get 50 zeros, right? So call these random number generators receivers of emotional energy. When emotional energy is moving, right, they're just sitting there receiving the movement of emotional energy. So they found that right before 9/11, right, the randomness of the numbers shifted. Right before that big tsunami, the randomness. So it's not that the random number generators are doing anything. All they're doing is picking up on the shift of this emotional energy in the quantum field, right? Where everything is connected, right? So what else is interesting? So they did a study with plants, right? They hooked up electrodes to plants so they could see what's happening. So thinking of emotion as just energy and motion, right? The plants know the difference between, they put out a different emotional signal or energy when you're coming in to fertilize them versus coming in to trim them versus coming in to prune them or to pick them, right? So there's this awareness in the quantum field of something before it happens, right? Now we have an organ in our body, right? We don't often think about, there's 40,000 neurites in our heart. So it's like another brain, right? Only this brain is like that random number generator. It's like the plant, right? It can sense shifts in the quantum field. It knows what's going to happen before it happens, right? And why do I say this? Heart Math Institute did a study. They put all these images up on a computer. Some of the images were challenging: car accidents, children starving, pictures of war, and other images were pleasant, like children playing and couples holding hands and sunsets. So there's a period of time where the screen is blank, right? So the random number generator in the computer hasn't kicked off yet to depict the picture, right? But in the quantum field, there's a knowing of what the next picture is going to be before it's even decided by the computer. And the heart, like that random number, is picking up on the quantum field of energy and distributing a signal from the heart that says, this is the next picture, it's going to come up and it's going to be a little challenging, or this is the next picture that's coming up, it's going to be, and so it's going to be very pleasant and soothing, so that they could see the definite difference between the signals coming from the heart before the computer even picked the picture. So this is so for my psychics here, this is your intuitive organ. This is your connection to the infinite, to God, whatever you want to call it. It's the heart. Right? So how does this energy and emotion become feelings? Right? So our minds are set up to keep us safe, right? Fear, doubt, and judgment of what's happening in the world, right? Because we have to protect these vehicles of experience, right? The universe's vehicle of experience in this lifetime, in this plane of existence. We need to take care of it, right? We got to take care of, we hear it called, God's temple. Yeah, it's God's temple. It's God experiencing life through you and as you. So the mind is like, well, from the time you're born, trying to figure out how to survive in this, fragile body. Right? This infinite spirit is experiencing through a fragile body. How do I survive? So it picks up different clues about life and stores them, and it begins to be able to interpret those messages from the heart. So one thing that I've noticed is before something happens on the highway where I need to move quickly, I usually drive with one hand here and the other one who knows where, right? But I've noticed that I've got two hands on the wheel when I need them. There's an intuitive sense that my heart and my brain's reading that, signal that says danger, and my brain, automatically goes boop, and then something happens. I'm like, good thing I had two hands on the wheel. And sometimes the brain's not so good at interpreting things. And so I'll just give you a pretend scenario. And maybe for some of you, it's more real than pretend. But let's just say we grew up in an environment where our parent was abusive, right? And over time, maybe by the time we were 6, we decided, I'm never going to be like mom, or I'm never going to be like dad, right? So let's just use dad as an example, right? So now we're, 26 years old and we're trying to put together a business. Well, there's this thing playing in our heads, never be like dad. Well, not only was dad, abusive and maybe an alcoholic, but dad was an incredible business person. Dad was an incredible networker. He was good at all these things in life. And the brain says all those things are dangerous. To be an incredible business person means to be an alcoholic, it means to be abusive. And the brain will say, oh, the heart will send the energy. Hey, you're going to be successful in business. Yes, you're on the path of success. And the brain says, oh no, I'm on the path of success. I know that vibration, it's dangerous, right? And you'll self-sabotage. So I think that's one of the things we want to get into is like, where does self-sabotage come from? It's just a brain trying to protect you from how it knows how to do life. So the feelings, that's where feelings come from, is this emotional energy come from the heart, which I like to think like the plants and the random number generator has no judgment. The brain's job is to actually discern and judge that signal, right? To keep you safe. And sometimes it does a good job and sometimes it doesn't. So the work that, that I'm doing with clients is to go back and find out where those emotional patterns, where that trauma was set up with dad, and say, oh, yeah, I never want to be an alcoholic. I never want to be abusive, but I can love those other qualities of my dad, right? I can recognize he too was an infinite child of the universe, and he was probably struggling with more pain than I ever experienced to be abusive.
Right. And but that's also the journey, with you and doing this work. God, there's so much I want to say about this, is because like there's
Thanks for cutting me off. I needed to be cut off.
That's okay. I am the wrangler. I wrangle and I harmonize. Wrangle and harmonize. I'll be on my CV. But anyway, so like it's this thing of the heart is saying one thing, the mind's saying another thing, and it's when they're not coherent, which causes a problem. And I feel like that, there's this heart wisdom. The heart has its wisdom, it has its intuitive wisdom, but it has also these emotional blocks that it's built up, in this relationship trying to stay alive in the world. And so even though the blocks are sabotaging you, it's your own way of trying to keep yourself safe. But because the heart and the head are not coherent, the core disconnect piece, those synapses are not, in alignment, and the energy is not coming through because there's a disconnect, however that works. I'm not a scientist, but like however that works, like then we start to see the patterns in our life that are like, why do I always date the same guy? Why do I always have the same job? Why do I keep getting into these accidents? And those patterns are the thing that are the clues to bring us back into our discovery. And the thing is, especially in the metaphysical community, we had a lot of posts this week in our Facebook group, which was about being yourself and being authentic. And like, if don't act spiritual like this. The universe isn't looking for actors; it's looking for authenticity. And so we get really caught up in doing it right because it's not good to be angry. It's not safe to step on people's toes. We want to make people happy. I want to be happy. But in this process, we begin compressing our feelings, and we're no longer showing up authentically because we want to be a good spiritual person. And
let me touch on something. I work with people on 5 different continents, and I will tell you that in this United States of America, we are the best at avoiding emotion, either projecting it or pushing it down or perpetuating emotion that we're comfortable with, right? We have we got good drugs, we got good sex, we got good alcohol, we got good, even positive things, sports and exercise, and even meditation can be an avoidance of feeling a challenging emotion. And I encounter resistance in our society just to feel, not to act out from emotion, not to push it down. There's a lot of pushing down of emotion in our society, where in other cultures, you want me to feel that trauma I had when I was 10. Okay. It's not fun, but there's a willingness that, it's beginning to grow in our society, but our history isn't around a willingness to feel.
I think that's very real. It's especially, again, there's these roles of like, men can feel these emotions, women can feel these emotions. And
Absolutely.
It's just allocated in such a way where it's like, if you're like, men can get angry, and men can be forceful, but for women to become angry is very dicey. It's like all of a sudden the names start coming out and you start labeling. Did you want to hop in, Miss Linda, with any thoughts at this juncture? Because I'm going to I don't want to steamroll. I've got so many questions here and so many other things to cover.
Absolutely. I was just thinking and typing and reading and everything, and my multitasking, keeping busy.
Thank you. with our people.
That I tend to find ways to avoid emotions when it isn't convenient. And it's just like, the phrase I say, put your big girl panties on and deal with it.
Oh God, that expression. Woo!
And I'll tell myself that, and it's like, suck it up, buttercup, all those different things until I can deal with it later.
Yeah, I think, Linda, sometimes, to survive, that's what we need to do, right? In other words, what I'm feeling right now will not function in this. I'm in a crisis situation, right? The fact that I'm feeling terror isn't going to work right now, right?
Right.
I can feel this, but where the opportunity comes from is to revisit it later and say, wow, I took some stuff away that, is really actually stored in my body that is wanting to get back out. Let me re-experience that. Let me revisit it. And it's the same thing when we revisit our childhood trauma, right? About the more times an incident happens and the more painful it is, the more we're going to develop neuropathic, grooves in our brain that says, this is how I handle this situation, right? I don't let this thing happen to me, right? And it limits your possibilities for acting new in a situation, because this is the train track you're running in. And when you can go back and revisit that trauma and the situation and evaluate it and feel through it, just the process, what's so important is feeling through it, allows that emotion you didn't allow yourself to experience at 10 and 12 this morning when your boss wasn't being friendly.
Well, I want to hop in because this is Kevin's secret sauce, and this is because as soon as you start talking about going back and visiting your childhood trauma, people are like, check, nope, that's good, I'm fine. I took care of that. I did that already. I'm fine. And so the difference is, and this is like the thing that I just want to crack open so wide so everybody can see it, is that Kevin is an empath, and he's not just an empath. Because it's like the story of the empath is, oh, I feel everything. Now I feel the weight of the world. I feel everyone's emotions. It's so hard to be an empath. Like that's kind of like the current, I'm an empath. Hi, I'm Kat. I'm an empath. I'm in pain all the time. Like a support group, right? But like Kevin's gift is to hold a container for you to go on your own journey. He's lighting the way as you go on your own journey of self-discovery. But the fact that he's holding this container and feeling it with you, however he does it, that's what I want to explore today. He allows the emotion that has all the emotional charge. He allows the emotional charge to be released, express itself, and come back into wholeness because he's there with you. It's not like a clinical therapist who's like, oh, you're in a lot of pain. Oh, it was your father. Like he's with you on the journey right next to you. So you are able to go through these emotions, these intense, incredible emotions that you're like, I didn't even know I felt that. But because he's with you, it's safe to finally feel them because there's somebody who loves you while you're in the process of turning yourself inside out. He's able to catch all of it, be with all of it, no judgment, endless love, because he's connected with the oneness of the universe, the oneness of God. And you're able to go through the transformation because he's being the vessel for your transformation. That's my experience of working with Kevin. And that's why I want to talk to him today.
That's beautiful, Kat.
It's fucking real. It's goddamn fucking real, Kevin. You don't even know what you did for me.
I want to bring something up you talked about a little earlier, and that's stuff that shows up over and over again, this repeating pattern, right? And we often see these things as challenging and negative, and damn, I'm doing this thing that I do again. I'm in this relationship with this same guy that it's a different face, but the same guy, right? Or I'm in this situation at work, and this is the third time I've changed jobs. And the universe is constantly presenting the opportunities for freedom, right? In other words, that trauma, right? It availed an opportunity to experience the contractive emotion and situation of who you're not, right? And when we're sick, right? We're so sick we don't want to get out of bed. We can't eat anything. Our head hurts so much we can't even read a book or watch TV. And when we come out of that and we get well, food never tasted so good. friends never seemed so great. The grass never looked so green. The air never smelled so good, because we had a contrasting experience, right? And so it's the miracle of life that we get to experience this contrast. And so the universe is continually presenting situations to heal that contractive experience and become aware of your magnificence again, and to feel the difference between what you experience and the truth of who you are is magnificent. It's like, it's a gift of life, right? So the universe is like, wow, we want you to have this freedom again. Thank you so much for experiencing the contraction, right? But now it's time to experience your magnificence and feel the difference, because without the contractive, it's the, resilience. Resilience comes from the experience of something painful and awakening to the, breaking through it. And it makes you aware of how powerful you are as a being.
Well, that was definitely, I mean, that's, because I'm not going to make this all about me, but I do want to point to my personal experience, and because it's relevant in talking about Kevin's work, is that it was literally like the pain of staying the same. Like, I've done all the things I know how to do. I've done so much work on myself. And yet there are these areas that I don't know how to get to on my own. And when you can feel that they're there, but you don't know how to get to them, it's so disempowering, which is why we need each other. And one of the things I said to Kevin was like, I can't midwife myself. Like, I can't do that for myself. I have to have somebody else doing that for me. I'm really good at doing it for other people, but I can't do it for myself. There's only so far I can take myself. And your ability to just be right there with me, the person that you're working with, that's the part I really want to get into, because it's the missing element of what it means to be an empath, and you do it naturally. I feel like what you do naturally with your clients is the evolution of all empaths, if we so choose to follow that path that you have trailblazed so gloriously. And I really want to encourage people to think about being able to be an empath who can hold emotion and then transmute it, because you're able to reconnect into the oneness. And I feel like that is the hallmark of the gift that you're birthing into the world through your work. And I would love to hear like your personal experience of waking up and discovering that, oh my God, I am an empath.
That's a good question.
This is why I can't do the clinical work in these settings, is because there's no room for me to be in my natural state. I would love to hear your journey about your awakening in that.
I'll be really plain and direct. 15 years ago, I thought emotions got in the way of living life. I thought emotions got in the way of getting work done. I grew up in a corporate environment, right? And emotions weren't welcome there. And I really believed that, emotion was something to be avoided. And, it took me a journey to discover that actually emotion is the gift of being human, right? It's the gift of that God experiences, that the universe is through each one of us, is this emotion of a human. That's why people are like, wow, I want to get on this planet and experience this emotional journey of being human that's got contraction and expansive, and and then we try to put it down in the mid zone where we're happy. Oh, how do you feel today? I'm okay. Oh, I got a little mad, but we're not okay with, I felt rage. And, if I'm willing to feel the rage, just feel it, but it will clarify. And like, Pen, what do you feel now? I feel peaceful. I feel serenity.
But what was your journey? I want to hear about you.
So when we started Children's
Wrangle you back into the story, mister. I want to hear your story.
This is 15 years ago when we started Children's Global Peace Project. I got the best people together that I could gather in this area. And we had a meeting, and one of my friends, Steve Bross, he said, we can't teach kids peace. And I'm like, I don't understand. And he says, we have to help them work through their challenging emotions and find peace for themselves. And I heard, it was like the Peanuts. I had no idea what he was talking about. But I believed him. I had faith in what he was saying. I'm like, well, this guy's brilliant. He knows what he's talking about. And that's where my journey started, was somebody saying it to me. Somebody saying that helping children work through their challenging emotions is where we find connection, is where we find peace, is where we talk about authenticity. And when we put on these veils of inauthenticity of who we are and how we think we should be coming out in the world and displaying ourselves, and we should be happy, and and when those veils are lifted by being authentic with our emotions, the veil of inauthenticity falls away. And
So you,
always
Kevin,
here comes into awareness.
I want to hear when you woke up and realized that you were an empath. I'm going to get
so
you
the
there.
empathic stuff. So, well, part of what I didn't realize, because I didn't know I was empathic, and we're all empathic to some level, right?
To some level.
But I didn't realize
you're extraordinary. You are extraordinary.
We talked about this the other day. I mean, what do we do? What do we do when we don't know we're an empath, and we know it, and we can't deal with all the emotions flowing around us, right? We're like, wow, work is awful, right? Because there's so much emotion. I'm like, I chewed tobacco, right? I drank a lot. It was a way to protect myself from all the emotional flow, but I was really shutting myself down, shutting the world out, right? And when I had a woman come into my office, and she was in her 60s, and she was there, and we started a process together. And within 10 minutes, she's like got a hold of the chair, and her whole body's shaking in rage, right? And her face is red, and as this rage pours through her, she's and then it's going peace, quiet, clarity, calmness about the trauma she experienced as a child. And when we got done with the session, I said, wow, rage is an easy emotion for you, huh? And she says, I've never felt it in my life, right? Now for me, so you want to know about my journey, it took me a year to feel that level of rage where your body is shaking and you've basically lost control. It took me another year to feel terror. I'm talking about not fear, I'm talking terror, where your body is shaking out of control, right? So yeah, that was my journey, was being able to run an emotion completely, is then the emotions that are coming at you in the world, they're not so overwhelming, right? This is emotional intelligence, right? Truly, is how fast you can allow emotion to flow through, and knowing that, hey, if something sticks, there's something there for you. It's not that the outside world is wrong, right? If you're in a room and you got two guitars, and and you strum one guitar, right, all the strings on the other one are going to vibrate, right? So let's just say you strum a guitar and there's one out of tune, right? And you're the other guitar, and you don't have the same out of tune string. It's not going to. But if you have the same out of tune string it's going to vibrate. So if you're working with a person, a client, and they're vibrating, and you can feel it, and it's sticking, it's yours too. I mean, and it's the gift that they're clients in your office, and you get to work through this, imbalance, and bring that back into tune together.
So, okay, so two things. One thing is that, and until we do that work, until we do let those emotions run all the way through and allow them to have full expression, we will stay out of tune.
Tobacco and alcohol is a pretty good thing.
Well, yeah, I mean, chewing tobacco, alcohol, it doesn't matter, obsessively running.
Rock and roll, you got it all.
Right, yeah. So, but like the deal is, if you don't get that clear in you, some part of you, we are beings of frequency and resonance. If some part of you is not resolved, that resonance will stay in your body. You will continue to attract situations, people, circumstances that hold the mirror frequency of that resonance. So that is why going through and clearing those emotions until it is a clear stream of energy coming through you is so vital, because that is the real spiritual work. Like, you want to be spiritually alive, do your emotional work.
Alive, yes.
So the thing is, I want to know, how did you learn to give yourself, going from emotions are get in the way to I'm going to allow rage to run through me, terror to run through me until my body is trembling and I feel out of control? How did you get from they don't matter to now I'm able to feel it, not only my own, but also my clients running through me?
Yeah. So I knew about this work for a year before I did it. what was the breakthrough? What convinced my mind was I was in Uganda, and I was reading through 4 different studies involving 5,000 kids in South Africa. And they were doing some kind of process with these kids where their pass-fail rates went up 50% in the matter of 3 months. And I said, what are they doing with these kids? They were helping them work through their challenging emotions, right? And what I had heard a year prior from my buddy Steve, I'm like, they're what? Helping people. I'm like, we need this process. And so that was like my mind convincing me that, hey, this tool is something I want to learn. In order to learn it, I have to experience it. Oh, hell. And so that's how I got convinced, how my mind got convinced to do the work, because I saw the results in studies, and I finally was convinced that it was worth something that we needed to check out.
And so you checked it. This is your next book, by the way. And so you checked it out and you started going through the process. And then what was it like for you to encounter your emotions and then realize that you could do that for other people? I'm like, I know that's a lot to ask. Is there any story that you can ask?
You're right. If you asked me 15 years ago if I would be an emotional life coach,
empathic life coach.
What are you talking about? I'm an engineer. Silly. And even it's Children's Global Peace Project. I was the executive director. I was the organizational skills of the organization, right? The fact that I got involved with emotional work and the teaching, I'm like, I just kind of got sucked into it.
You got sucked into who you truly are. So yeah, like that's the truth of it. Like you couldn't resist it at a certain point because that really is your life calling. It's so
there was freedom that was happening, as I was doing the process. So I did, the process we did the other day, that was, your second, that was the first process I did, right?
Oh, wow.
And I did it, after a year of, looking from the outside at this, this type of process work. And your experience, but my experience was that at one point, I'm sitting in the chair and I'm like, my friend Bodie's doing the problem. Hey, Bodie, my arms are sticking straight out. He's like, don't worry, they've been like that for 20 minutes. It's okay. So that's when what makes monks levitate, right? You have an etheric body, right? And when you really energize all of who you are, right? Naturally, where the floor ends and your foot begins is, it's all connected, right? The universe, quantum physics is, there's no difference between, where I end and you begin, right? And when you're energizing that field, well, shoot, you're going to levitate. My arms were like, I couldn't bring them down. He's like, don't worry, they'll come down eventually. I'm like, okay. But that was my first experience. And I was like, all this stuff. And believe me, I was reluctant. I'm proud. I'm my worst example of a client. And it gives me some space for some people show up that, the fact that one woman showed up and could feel rage in their first session. Some people are more like me, right? I'm, just dipping my toe in emotion was, a clarifying moment. That's like, so people are like, I can't do yoga. I can't touch my toes. I'm like, beautiful. You can do yoga because it's the bendy person that's got to touch their toes, right? In order to begin to stretch themselves. But if you can only go this far, that's all you have to do. If you're not used to running emotion, you just run a little bit, right? It's a breakthrough, right? When you're used to running big emotion, then it's so wow. There's no judgment over I had this big of an emotional experience or I dipped my toe, because the universe is perfectly meeting you to break through to the next level of freedom and truth of who you are.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I want to hop in and see if Miss Jillian or if Miss Linda have anything they'd like to bring in before I shift to the next.
I have a quick one, and then Jillian, I'll pass it on to you. One of the things you said was moving from the corporate world into this. I don't know how many people, that was my experience, where I was in the corporate world and I knew if I stayed here 1 year longer, I would be dead. If it meant that I was going to pull out in front of a vehicle subconsciously and kill myself or have a heart attack. Didn't matter. If I stayed there, I was going to be dead.
Yeah.
And that was my first listening to my intuition that said, get the hell out.
Yeah.
And, do what you need to do for your own good.
Mm-hmm.
And so after that, I started realizing and looking back all of the people that left corporate world whose pendulum went from this side all the way to the far side and became massage therapist, became Reiki, became something else in the healing industry because they were in such rejection there. But when we did that, we didn't heal all the things that came with us.
Ooh.
That's a good point. It's because you change jobs or change your environment. It's a healing move to do, but it doesn't mean that everything inside you suddenly got well.
No matter where you go, there you are, right?
Oh yeah. See what? So you want to know how I transitioned out of that?
Yes.
So that's a long story. I won't tell it all, but I will say that 2 years before I left, I had an awareness that I was leaving out, but I didn't know when. I didn't know how. I actually flew all the way. I thought it might be right away. I flew all the way home to tell my dad, hey, I'm leaving. He's like, well, just don't quit your job. Make sure you have another job lined up, right? And I'm like, me, Dad. The next job will just show up, right? So I always, because that's how I transition jobs. As soon as the next one shows up, I felt intuitively that, okay, this is my next career shift or path. Well, it didn't show up that way. It showed up, as letting go and walking into no job and traveling the world. But like you, Linda, I had an awareness because I had been working in government work a long time, and I shifted over and I was working at the Bureau of Land Management, and I really loved it there. And then I shifted back into working into intelligence, right? And then I was back down into the bowels of our, intelligence work, and I began to get a headache. And
A headache?
The headache, yeah.
Okay.
And it's like, if you don't eat McDonald's for a long time, sorry, McDonald's, your
apologize.
body will get adjusted to the healthiness of not eating. And when you go to eat McDonald's, it'll be like, oh, I feel sick. But if you keep eating McDonald's, I knew if I stayed in that work, the headache would go away. It would get, if I keep eating McDonald's, my body will say, this is the new normal, right? And it'll try to adjust, and the level of toxicity will build up over time until you get sick, right? Because the universe is telling you, you've had enough of this. You couldn't read it intuitively. You couldn't feel it intuitively anymore. Your body's adjusted to this new normal of poison. You're just going to be sick. So I would have gotten sick in that job. Or I would have, just like eating McDonald's for an entire year. Your body adjusts, but eventually the toxins build up and you get sick.
So let's kind of, I want, Kevin, if you can smoothly transition to having your headphones on with your mic, just because there's a little bit of not quite as, the sound isn't quite as connected. So that would be awesome. Yay. And then the thing I want to, if I can invite you to take Linda's question and be like, what are the steps of because you just said that you fucking didn't work for 2 years and you traveled the world, my dream come true. So I might be an entrepreneur, I might be somebody, or not, let's say I am somebody which I am, I'm working my 9-to-5 job. I'm like, I know I can't be here much longer. I can do this for a little while. And it's like, oh, I'm going to follow Kevin's path, quit my job and travel. And then it goes to shit for me because that wasn't really in my intuitive, that wasn't really my path, but I want it so bad that I cut my cords and I tried to do what Kevin did. How do I find what's right for me? What's my transition point? How do I identify that?
Good question. So it's such a good question, Kat. 20 years ago, I want to use, 20 years ago, I saw this life coach, and life coaching was just beginning to gain energy. And this person was one of the top 10 life coaches in the country, probably in the world, of course, right? Life coaching wasn't a term yet. Right. And a woman asked, hey, I want to transition to my dream job, right? And this life coach said, do you have a stable job and income right now? And she says, yeah. She says, stay with that, right? And she says, She says, and gradually begin to grow and transition into what you wanted your dream is, right? Is that good advice for some people? Yes. For some people, no. Like that type of life coaching model hopefully doesn't exist anymore. You know, hopefully life coaching is all about helping people find their own perfect path, right? So 5 years later, I saw Neil Donald Walsh, right? And a man asked the same question, you know, hey, I want to transition to my dream job. What do I do? And Neil said, set a date, right? This was June of 2006. He said, set a date. And I heard in my head, December 18th. And I was like, December 18th? What does that have to do with anything? I'm trying to listen to what's going on in the seminar. and I just heard this. Anyway, he says, set a date, give your current job 110%, right? And when that date comes, you'll know. Maybe they love you so much in that job that they promote you to something you really want to do, or maybe you become, you know, that thing that you dream of at the work, or you will know that this job isn't for you anymore. Mm-hmm. But when's the last time we paused and gave 110% to something not working in our life, our job, our friendship, our, you know, our marriage, you know, whatever it is, you know, it's in your life, right? It got brought into your life. And so it's very interesting, right? So I gave 110% of my job, right? And on my way out the door, and I didn't realize that when I got my office box into my car, and one of my buddies that was working with me, he says, what time is it? And I'm like, it's 3:30, December 18th. Right. So what's really interesting, Kat, was I went to India, I went to Thailand, I went to Uganda. I came back into the States in time for my sister's wedding on Easter in 2007. And I went to an Easter service with my mother and my other sister, and there was a sermon, right, about a parable. And Jesus is telling this story about a fig tree that isn't bearing any fruit, right? And the plantation owner wants to pull it out. and the maintenance guy says, hey, how about we give it another year? And I heard Neil say, set a date. And the maintenance worker says, we'll give it extra fertilizer and care. And I heard Neil saying, give it 110%, right? And then, you know, a year from now, we'll know whether we should pull this fig tree out or because whether it's bearing any fruit. So I'm like, you're only human, so set a date. Set a date for something you want to know more about, because it's got to be a light at the end of the tunnel, right? And then give it 110%. So that would be one piece of possibly beginning to look at what's right for me, is maybe where you are right now is right. Because like Linda said, no matter where you go, there you are. And maybe where you are right now is the perfect opportunity to work through something you've been trying to work through 5 different jobs and you're going to go find a new job and it's going to be perfect until it isn't anymore, because that same thing's going to come up again, right?
Unless Jesus comes along and curses the fig tree and says, I'm over it, just fucking quit. You need to move on today. So
they may be the perfect path. You may be right.
So I just want to, like, you know, it's like, it's that thing where there's a range, right? I just had to bring in the part about Jesus cursing the fig tree because it's so sassy. I'm like, what a diva, Jesus. But like that whole thing of like, if it is right, and if everything in your body, like Linda, you know, her body was like, I will kill myself if I have to stay here. Like, if that's the situation, then let the fig tree die and move on. But I think it's about trusting your emotional, intuitive intelligence. It's not saying, oh, I'm gonna go with my emotions. My emotions are raging. It's trusting your emotional intelligence.
So this is a perfect lead in for the work that I do and how I do it. Right. It's because, okay, I have something showing up in my life that's a challenge. Right. And typically, you know, if I'm, you know, let's break through that challenge. You can do it. No, let's pause and feel through the challenge and see what, you know, the emotional intelligence, the trauma that's here, because this challenge is a gift for a breakthrough. And if we can get the wisdom of this challenge, of the emotion, and we can unravel it, then that's where I'm coaching you from, is to find your own wisdom. So I really don't know if you should set a date and give it 110%. I really don't know if you should, but I know that you know. I know that the infinite part of you that's connected with the universe knows exactly what's perfect for you. And let's go unravel the situation and find the wisdom of it so that you can perfectly know your next step. And when you tell me what the next step, when you tell me what the next step is, perfectly, let's coach from there.
Well, and that's the thing that you do is like you get people to show it to themselves, but like you're guiding them. It's like you're flipping on the switch with your gifts and empathically holding the space and saying, well, what's there? And the person reveals it to you. And then like the next step comes from that revelation. And it's so organic and authentically integrated. It's literally traversing your inner terrain, but now you have the lights on and you have somebody who loves you and is holding space for you right next to you. So you're able to actually move and you're no longer terrified. You might be terrified for a moment and do some deep breathing like I certainly did. And we'll do in our future sessions, but it's safe to keep going forward because you're not alone. And Miss Jillian, we said we're going to let you talk and then we'll let you talk. Did you have anything you wanted to?
Oh, no, it's okay. I don't have any questions. I'm just really soaking it in. I mean, I'm the queen of not properly processing my emotions, to tell you the truth.
Oh.
So, well, I mean, and sitting here and listening to this, I mean, this is good for my soul just to be the observer and to have like these kind of concepts really integrate into my mind. So I'm just having a blast listening, really.
Okay, awesome. And just chat me up if you have anything you want to say, because I certainly do not want to miss your beautiful, gorgeous heart that we're always so happy is with us. So Kevin, I know where I want to go next. Did you have anything you wanted to add before I?
Yeah, thanks, Kevin. You know, it took me a while of doing this work before I realized that I could actually be a facilitator of it, and it wasn't me being aware of it. It was somebody else telling me. They're like, oh, you're really good at this. And then it was somebody else telling me, oh, you really helped me with that, you know, and I didn't want to listen or believe it myself, you know, and thank God for all those people that, you know, that shared their experience back with me and said, thank you for the gift. You're really good at this. And I'm like, and after a while I get to thinking, well, I guess I can do this. And I love it because I don't know what's right for you. And I don't know how this session's going to turn out, right? And it took years of, I don't know how this is going to go, and I don't know what to do, to finally give it over to Grace and say, thank goodness I don't have to know how this is going to go, and I don't know how to, I can just feel with you. And in this experience of feeling with you, the next step will open itself. Grace will lead us through wherever we're going. And I can't tell you how many times I've been an hour and 15 minutes into a 90-minute process, and I'm like, I have no idea where this is going. And all of a sudden, boom, I'm like, wow, that's where we were going.
And you trust it. The thing is, you trust it. You don't go, oh my God, where are we going? I don't know where we're going. I don't have it. Like you don't do that. You're like, it's just like that. Oh my God, there's a parallel. Like, just like when you left work on December 18th, you're like, I don't know where I'm going, but I guess, oh, here's where I'm going. It's that same, your ability to find, for the path to find you, for you to find the path, for you to energetically synchronize with the path and trust it. This is one of your core gifts. You do it in your sessions, you do it in your life. I just saw that parallel and had to speak to it, because the fact that you don't know, but it doesn't stop you, because the right thing shows up and you listen, you hear, you feel, you know. You don't stop yourself because you don't know. You trust it will show up. And because you're not blocking it, it does. You don't block it and it shows up. You don't go in your head and say, I don't know, I can't. You just allow it to appear, and then you trust and you take the step. It's something that we all, I will say it for myself. I think many of us need to be able to see that, witness that, and say, it's possible. He's doing it. He's somebody that's doing it. It's possible for me too. All right, Mister, I want to talk to you about a couple of things. And one of them, I'm going to go into anxiety and depression first. I was going to save that for later, but I think that what I experience are so many people in my work environment, because it's really intense, especially the work that I'm involved in right now. It's working with people who are suffering through lack of income from the pandemic, and they're losing like abs. They're losing everything up to their lives. Like they lost their home, they lost their car, lost their phone. Oh, they lost their medical everything. Like they're just going to die. So the people who already have anxiety, now that they're in this work environment, like their anxiety, their depression, their despair, it's so visceral. It's so in their face every day. How do you navigate? And here's the thing that pisses me off is like, I'll see things like, well, you can't get rid of anxiety, but you can manage it. Like that's like the help out there that I'll find in YouTube land. And I'm like, what? It's like, oh, you can manage being set on fire you can't get rid of being set on fire every day, but you can manage it. Like, what the fuck is that? So like, I want to be able to talk about like what it really means to not manage anxiety, but go into the core of it so you can get the gift of what the anxiety is trying to fucking show you, as well as depression.
Yeah. That's a good question, Kat. I want to talk about bring another word into the picture. It's compassion, and compassion, like, you know, Santa Claus and the nice children versus Saint Nicholas is a word that's, you know, changed meaning and lost meaning over time. And the dictionary does a really good job of how we use words in our modern society. But compassion is modern society defined as sympathetic pity with a desire to alleviate your pain. Right now, sympathetic pity means I feel for you. I'm separate from you. You're stuck in a hole, you poor sap. Right?
Mm-hmm.
I can feel for you. Right? Empathetic is I feel with you, not for you, but with. So sympathetic pity is going to be draining for me to sympathetically look at your poor self down in that hole. How am I going to get you out of there, you poor sap? Right? And so I'm like trying to, you know, where empathy is, I'm willing to love what is, to be in there with you, to feel it with you. Right? And in that, when we can feel acknowledged for our pain, it begins to lose its grip, right? Because I'm validated for this is challenging, and I feel I'm feeling it with you. You know, that's where, you know, Kat, I gotta have my tissues right here, right? Because when we're doing work, I'm feeling it with you. I'm crying with you. I'm angry with you. And then the other piece of compassion is this awareness that you are an infinite being, right? And when I energetically can hold those two polarities of where you're feeling yourself to be and the truth of who you are, energetically, I'm just creating a path from where you're at to what's possible, right? And I have no attachment that we do anything with it, because I can love what is, and I can love the truth of who you are without needing to change you or fix you or shift. But the body and in yourself and will naturally gravitate to the truth of who it is. Right. And so I'm just holding the possibility, right? And whether or not you follow that path is completely your choice, but the body wants to go there, right? And so what the challenging can be is we can really own what our pain to the point of how we've defined ourselves. All the traumas is I'm a victim of this and of that, and this is how I've survived life, and this is how I do life, and you can own that and say this is who I am, and have a really huge resistance to shifting through it, because it's how you've become to define life and how you do it. So the willingness is the first step is just a willingness to feel the pain of all that. And when you're willing to feel the pain of it, then it begins to lose its grip that this is the truth of who I am, all this pain. It becomes less scary of who I've been, and it begins to break apart, right? And in this breaking apart, right, there's possibility, right? I can begin to see a possibility for my way out of here. And the scenario that you give is really, I can feel the pain in it. You know, what's going on in our societies right now with people losing their jobs, and or people feeling stuck in jobs that they would transition out of if they felt more comfortable that there was another job out there. And I can feel the pain of it. And
Go ahead, sorry.
And so I'm, as sad as it makes me, I'm like, and as odd as it seems, allow yourself the moments to experience the pain of where you're at and what's going on, and so that it doesn't have such a grip on you, right? We get an idea that we even say it, I am sad. No, you're not. That's not who you are, right? I'm scared. No, that's not who. I feel sad. I feel scared, right? It's an energetic emotion that is naturally meant to come and go. And as long as you say, I am, it begins to define who you are, and it's not who you are, right?
And is that where the layers of depression come in, when you start to identify yourself as your feelings?
That's a good way to say it, Kat.
Okay.
And it gets layered, and it becomes a way of doing life. It becomes your personal understanding of life. This is how, and I will say,
who you are.
Yeah, it becomes a belief system, right?
Yeah.
And beliefs, we don't see them as beliefs, we see them as truths and facts of life.
Right. So your depression becomes this expression of who you are because you believe that you are your emotions, and your emotions are overwhelming. And because they're overwhelming, you squish them down, and therefore you're depressed. And there's your path into depression.
Yeah, it's perfect. Like, especially like something like rage, right? If we compress it and we don't feel it, right, we're basically shutting down the capacity to feel all big emotion, right, including big joy, right? Because and then life becomes this mid zone. We might as well be on lithium.
Oh God. That's the thing, is that like, because you said this to me before, is that like, if you don't express and experience the totality of your pain, you can never feel and experience the totality of your joy, your bliss, your euphoria. If you're denying your rage, you're denying your bliss, because you're cutting off both ends. It can't be one or the other. It's both, because we are a continuum.
Yeah. And there's a bunch of people out here that, Kat, what you just said, they heard wah 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 wah. That sounds like crap.
Right? On this show, they didn't.
Good. Well, there's a bunch of other people out there that like that. No way can I go there. But
they're not going to go there alone, because you are there. And that is the thing that I'm also was tuning into. We're just like tuning into this whole emotional realm together today as the salon. The salon's tuning into this today, where it's like what you said, I really want to highlight. You said like the part of you that wants life is seeking life. It's not seeking to be dulled down. It's not seeking to just be comfortable. That part of you that knows it can live is looking to live. But everything else is doing this, is the silent treatment, trying to give it the silent treatment, so that way we don't have to go through the pain. But because you're in the space, anchored with them in the space, that part that knows they're seeking life, it's looking for life, because you can be with them in that entire landscape. You're with them in the part that's disconnected. You're with them with a part that's like, I'm right here, buddy. I'm right here. And you're able to synergize and harmonize. You're like an empathic, symbiotic being, where it's like you're able to be both of those and allow them to bridge together. And that's what you're doing, is you're empathically finding with them the trail to get that person who's in their disconnection to the part of them that's like, I want to be alive so bad. Like, you are the one to able to get them through, because you're able to empathically hold their emotional landscape within its own continuum. I'm just tuning into your stuff.
Yeah, you put I'm gonna give it back, some of it, which is, it's their journey, right? It's their journey. I don't know what's perfect for them.
No, right? But you don't have to, because you trust.
Yeah, I trust. I just know, when I show up with them, what I'm going through, what I'm feeling. And there's times when I can't, I'm just completely in the motion with them, and I have no idea where we're going or what it looks like to climb out of this, but there's a willingness to feel whatever it's like. When we project emotion, when I'm pissed at you, Kat, and I'm yelling at you, part of what I'm trying to do is bring you into the same vibrational state that I'm in, so that I can feel comfortable being there together. So I'm going to project what have I got at you, right? Well, that doesn't turn out to be very effective, right? Because I get you pissed off, and then we're like, and we walk. But if you can meet someone in their rage, right, without taking on their projection and just feel it with them, their body gets a sense that you get it.
Yeah.
Their body gets, oh, I'm okay. He uses word, I'm validated in where I'm at, right? In other words, it's okay to feel this. This is part of being human, to feel rage, right? And I don't have to act out from it. I don't have to project it. I don't have to stuff it down, right? I might have to, like Linda said, put it away for a little while and bring it out later. And there's a part of me that wants to ask Jillian, what's her question? What's going on? I want to hear, because I want to hear a perspective about what we're talking about.
Well, for me, I mean, it's just hearing you guys go back and forth about the process of, getting to where you need to be with accepting your emotions. That's what's really getting into my head right now. And it's not, I mean, I don't have a whole lot to say about it because I'm not familiar with that process, but just kind of listening to you go back and forth about the ins and outs of it is really kind of giving me a wake up call, like a nudge, a big nudge, like a hammer to the head kind of thing.
And this is your gift of being here, is that this isn't familiar. So please feel free to break in anytime and say, I'm not quite understanding what you and Kat are talking about, because this is not familiar.
I'm completely getting what 100%. I'm getting what you guys are saying, but it's like these two parts of me are going back and forth, right? There's the part that's just the stone that's not, I don't want to deal with that crap. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to deal with it. I'm just going to block it out. But then there's the part on the complete opposite end of the spectrum that is like, no, you're sitting here and you're not saying a whole lot because this is what you need to hear. And it's a good thing that I'm listening to this.
Yeah, thanks, Jillian. You did bring up something that I wanted to share about. It's the resistance, right? And the resistance is real because the mind says that's dangerous space to go into based on my experience of life. Why would I want to go into that emotion, right? And so I would say it's love the resistance as well, because it's served you up till now, right? And maybe it's still there to serve you moving forward, right? So if you can love the resistance and welcome the resistance, that too will soften. And maybe that's all for today. Maybe that's it. We're just going to love the resistance. I'm going to love that part of myself.
Yeah, and that's one thing I've been working, with myself lately. It's just meeting myself where I am. Like I do beat myself up sometimes. Like I do need to process certain things and I need to work on them, but instead I'm going to go and do this, or instead I'm going to have a couple glasses of wine at night. I'm going to numb it, this and that. But it's really just, I'm at a place where I'm just going to be okay with where I am, no matter where it is, and just work with what I have to pull on at that point, as opposed to fighting myself constantly. Oh no, you need to be doing this. You shouldn't be doing this. I think that my place right now is perfect for just meeting myself, listening to you guys, doing, what I need to do to get my mind in a right place to start processing these emotions that are so hard.
Yeah. I want to say something too that's come up. The difference for me when I'm working with Kevin versus a therapist or someone else is that and someone in the audience brought this up, is I think oftentimes a clinical therapist projects their interpretation of what it feels like to do this. They don't actually feel what it's like, what you're experiencing.
Sympathy. Yes. Versus empathy. Yes. Yeah.
Right. And when I work with my clients, it's the same thing. I can feel those emotions rise and I can feel them stuff. Like I can feel when they get stuffed in somebody, when it starts to come up and that doesn't feel safe, and it's like, no, not going to happen. And it's a physical sensation in my body of, it's like, oh, it wants to come out. It's right here. Oh, no, there it goes. You know, and I think that's a huge difference. That's what Kevin, however he does it in his way, does that with me. And the few times I've worked with him, it was just this, I could tell he was sensing exactly when I was shutting down, when I was not willing to bring it forward, and was able to kind of work through that with me in a meditation. In a meditation, we did it. And he probably didn't even say anything at that point, but I could feel him energetically shifting me, or allowing me to shift, not shifting me.
Thanks, Linda. Thanks. Yeah. So
it's a huge difference.
Huge.
Kat, I want to bring the rest of that question to closure about experiencing the challenge that people are going through in life right now.
Anxiety, depression.
Yeah. So the first part would be, of compassion for yourself, is to allow yourself to feel what is, right? And the second part would be, okay, let's begin to list the things that I love about life, right? We might call it a gratitude exercise, right? What are the things that I love? What are the things that I used to love about life? What are the things that I really want to do with my life, right? And as you list these things, right, that right now you're maybe missing an awareness that they're in your life right now in some way, the emotional energy of it, right? So you can begin to look at, what are these things that bring me joy, right? Or bring me calm, or bring me togetherness, or, and you can grow those things in your life by your awareness of them, and by, building, the actual, doing the practical thing of, wow, I really love my friend Kat. I could spend more time with him, right? Oh, I really actually love doing my yoga practice, but I only do it twice a week. I could make time to do it every day, right? What are these things that energize you and bring you joy? And as you add those things to your life, you begin to shift the energy of where you're at to what's possible by focusing on what you love.
And I think that so it's much more gentle what you're proposing, as opposed to like Jillian was saying, oh, I'm not going to just be like, you have to do this, you need to start doing that. Like, she's not going to make a big list of shoulds for herself and should on herself, right? Like that saying of shoulding on yourself or shoulding on somebody else. Like, she's not going to do that. She's seeing what she's doing. And the invitation is, and this is my experience as well, is like, okay, well, add one more nice, lovely thing. Now next week, add another nice, lovely thing. And so, like, the things that I'm doing to help medicate myself to navigate the pain, which I don't judge myself for, like, I do love altered states and I get really a lot of gifts out of it. But, like, again, what's your relationship? Are you stuffing down, or are you having experience? It's those questions. Yeah. I know that those times when I choose to numb out will gradually and maybe swiftly, I'm not attached, but like those are going to continue to shift and transition the more I bring the good things in. But the crux is when somebody is in a place where they're like, how do I bring the good things in when I'm feeling this low, I'm feeling this heavy? How do I get inspired to what's the moment of transition where I start to say, okay, I commit to once a week doing one more nice good thing for myself. This week I'm going to let myself sleep in an extra 10 minutes, or I'm going to let myself take a hot bath, 5 nights a week, because I'm just going to soak for, like, whatever it is that you start to give yourself every week. How do you get yourself into the position of giving yourself those initial strokes of kindness?
Yeah. You ask hard questions, Kat.
You can handle it.
A friend of mine told me a while back, that she spent a week on the couch, and you spent a week on the couch?
It's
and
real.
She's like, and when I was done with it, I was done with it. And I had the energy to go do something, to create what I wanted, right? So there's this non-willingness to sit in the pain of what we got, right, going on, right? And when we get so done with it, when the butterfly, when the pain of that caterpillar being in the chrysalis is, bigger than the pain of busting out, right? They're going to bust out. When the pain of doing nothing about your life is big enough, you're going to bust out. And I just have to reel in this advice because it's different for everybody, and I can't tell what would work perfectly for you or anyone else. But there's a willingness to love where you're at, or to be where you're at some point. If we crack the chrysalis open on the butterfly, it will die, right? It's that process of discovering for yourself that you're done with that, and now it's time to be something. And once again, I struggle giving general advice because I don't know what's best for anybody. That's why I love to allow them to unravel their own wisdom and brilliance. And it starts with the willingness to feel emotion, right? And unravel from it, right? And there you can begin to crack open your own wisdom, what's perfectly next for you. But if you're, it's harder if you're not willing to feel the pain, right? Like positive affirmations, they're awesome, right? They're a bright light that, or being a positive person is awesome. It's a bright light and it's attractive to people to people to go to that bright light and truth of who you are, right? But what's even more powerful, right? If it's not just the bright light, right, is if you're willing to feel where you're at, you've just established an energetic path from where you're at to that bright light. Otherwise, it's just a bright light, right? And I don't know how to get there because I'm just a moth flying all over the place. Right? But if I can ground myself where I'm at, oh my gosh, I just created an energetic path to the possibility of where I could be.
Kevin,
it's not to take away anything from the bright light, right? Because the moths are all like, it's a fabulous bright light. I can be that too, right? Just don't land on it because you'll burn you.
But you just gave the recipe, you just gave the map to be able to get from where you are to where you want to be. And it's the willingness to feel, and the willingness to feel is the first step, and then that initiates the next step. But you have to be grounded and present to what you're feeling in order for you to be able to see that the place you want to go to is possible. Otherwise, you're bouncing around, upset, depressed, all the emotions. You're in the continuum of this, in this cage of emotions bouncing around. But once you get grounded, the door opens and you see it's possible to take a step forward.
So the whole book on that, Byron Katie, thank you very much. Loving What Is.
Loving What Is, Byron Katie. All right.
Yeah. And then that brings up another person that I really love and admire. It's Carolyn Mace, right?
Oh.
And the thing from Carolyn Mace I want to bring up is she's like, why for some people they can heal so quickly, right? Or they can manifest so quickly, right? And she said it has to do with the amount of energy that you have in the present. Right. And if you're tied up with your past traumas, you have all kinds of energy tied back to when you were 5, when you were 15, when you were 22, when you were 36, and all those all those challenging things that happened to you, traumas, right? I won't call them good or bad. They're just experiences of life, right? But when your energy's tied up back there, right, it's not. And when you're willing to feel what you went through at 15, right, the ties of energy back there, back to your brother, your sister, your mom, your grandma, whoever it was you had that challenge with, your high school basketball coach, right? And that energy gets released and it comes right here in the present. And then you become a more powerful manifester because you've got energy right here, right now.
Mm-hmm. Well said. Linda, do you want to pop in and say anything on that? I feel like there's such a resonance in that.
Yeah, I had posted something earlier this week in our group that was Carl Jung, I'd rather be whole than good.
Yes.
I'd rather feel everything and move through it and resonate with all of it than deny, or to continue to repeat those patterns because that's what I feel in the moment, and that's what I felt the moment before that, and the moment before that, and the moment, and that's my comfort zone because that's what I know, is denying me from knowing the future as it could be, because I am stuck in the past. And so there's this dichotomy of I want to feel it, I want to really resonate and understand what that is and where it comes from, and I want to move through it so that I can explore what is available to me. And if I'm not willing to do that second step, I'm stuck back there. And that's one of the things that I've seen that firsthand in people I love, of being stuck in that place and that wound. And there's some emotional reward of staying there. There is something there that, whether it's, sometimes I know that I've had feelings of, if I don't continue feeling this, then that means I didn't love that person enough, right? If I don't continue mourning, I didn't love that person enough.
If I don't continue holding my resentment, that means what that happened was okay.
Right. And by holding that so tightly, it's preventing me from opening up to anything else. And for me, that just really resonates. So I would rather be whole than good.
Yeah. I want to give Kevin a moment to like.
To what? Just love Linda? Linda, I love that. Thank you.
Yeah. I posted a thing on today as well, preceding the show, which was, I sat with my anger long enough, I'm gonna cry when I say it, until she told me her real name is grief. And I think that there's this thing of like, beneath all this pain is like this deep, deep sorrow that is terrifying for some reason.
Yeah. All right. So now I know what meditation we're doing.
At the end of the show, we are going to do a meditation at the end of the show, with Kevin. I should have said that at the beginning. That could have been a little teaser. Before we move there, Kevin, do you have time for one more little?
Give me quite. I got all day for you, my friend.
Oh, look at you. Okay, because this is a part I really want to talk about. I don't want it to
no more hard questions though.
I can't make any promises. I trust your capacity. I wanted to talk about the shadow self and who is our shadow, what is our shadow, and the importance of doing shadow work.
Yeah. I'm going to turn that over to you because we had such a beautiful session on that. What's your experience around that? I swear, you just, it's what I love about doing work with people. I'm learning, constantly learning and transforming and growing through other people that show up and to do work with me. And that's such a gift. So I would love to hear what you birthed out of our last session.
Yeah. And so I will talk about it. I'll talk about parts of it because it was really personal. But so at a certain point, and also I want people to have their own experience with you. I don't want to set up an expectation because this was my experience. So my experience is not going to be anyone else's experiences. You're going to have your own fucking dynamic, golden journey wherever it goes. So it may not look anything like this. Disclaimer. So my experience was that who I've been, the life I have led, instead of being this thing that was trapping me and holding me back, all of the wounds and the associated judgments, all the labels, all of the finger pointing, all of that became the shadow self, became my shadow twin. And my shadow twin was not fighting me. He wanted me to take his hand. And it was like, I have your stories. I have your wisdom. You can pull from me and teach from me. You can pull spells out of the wisdom that I am, that you have accumulated. I'm your book of transformation that you can speak out of into other people's lives. And it became this thing of kind of like Alice in Wonderland, where you're looking through the looking glass, like that metaphor, but like the looking glass, on the other side of the looking glass, I was now seeing the shadow, and I'm in light. I was like, oh, I'm the one in the light. I was in shadow for so long. For so long, I have been lost in my shadows. But through this process, I was able to walk to the other side of the mirror and be like, oh, I'm in the light, but I'm still with my shadow. I'm holding onto his hands because he's an ally. He's a teacher. And he said to me, like, as I was, channeling what he was saying to me, was do more shadow work. Like, I've got a lot to teach you. Don't hold back. Get to know me better. It wasn't like, oh, I've done my shadow work with Kevin and now everything. It was like, no, this is an ongoing process. I still have more to teach you, but I'm your ally now. Do you get it? And it was just this different relationship to what normally is like, oh, shadow work. I got to see where I'm fucking up. I got to see where I'm judging myself for fucking up. Oh, I said I'm fucking up. That's a shadow part. That's a part of me judge. Like all of that, like heaviness was like, oh, this is where the gold is. Like, you want to dig into the gold, dig into your shadow.
It's a beautiful cat.
That was my experience.
And, at one point we were talking about it being a phoenix process, and I was like, I thought about it later, and I'm like, no, this isn't a where you burn the ashes of your past. No, this is a integration process where you welcome all of who you've been, because it makes who you are. And we don't, when we carry that forward, we don't carry it away in that it's weighted down and heavy anymore. Right? The shadow becomes light.
Well, the shadow becomes like the gift. And I feel like it is a phoenix process, but it's not so much that the old self is still valued. It's because I did go into the light. I did experience this transformation, but it's not the end of it. Like the phoenix, because the phoenix always is the phoenix. It's like it does it over and over again, but it rebirths itself over and over again. And it doesn't say, when it has a rebirth, it doesn't say, oh, I know who I am now is great, but eventually I'm going to burn through this too. It's like, no, it's in the experience of, oh my God, I'm in the rebirth. This is me. And when it comes time to shed this skin and become even more, I'll do that. But there's no judgment on the skins that are shed. There's no judgment on the past that's being burnt into cinder, which is that beautiful shadow spell that goes into your book, and you can call upon it again and again when you're working with the next person, when you're working with your next challenge. Like, all of those ashes go into your shadow book so you can speak spells of transformation. That's how I see it.
That's beautiful.
So,
all right. Thanks, Kat, for sharing that. So you want to know my experience around the shadow?
Yes, thank you. Good.
All right. It's those pieces of ourselves that we don't love.
Yes.
Right. That we're ashamed of, embarrassed of, all the names we've given ourselves, all the names we've heard, all the bad habits that we have, all the things that are tough to look at about who we are, who we've been. And that a lot of energy can be held there. And I think when we're willing to go visit with ourselves back then, there's a level of forgiveness that happens that's naturally always there. Like, God loves you no matter what, right? You are an expression of the oneness itself. How could it not love itself, no matter what you go through? And there's an awareness and a knowing in the universe that you can't experience hot without cold, light without dark, joy without sorrow. And the universe loves you for experiencing what you're not, because it gives the contrast of, a possibility of existing and feeling the magnificence of the truth of who you are. And so when you can love who you've been and without judging it, right? And that love of yourself extends out to people that you meet, and you can love wherever they're at and have compassion for them and feel with them, because you're like, wow, they're just like me. They're just like me. They're just struggling through life, trying to know their light again. And when you can love that about yourself, you can love it about other people, no matter where they're at.
Yes. Oh, that is the gift.
It's erasing the judgment. It's erasing the judgment. We all fucking go through tough shit, and it comes out in ways we wish it never did.
So real. Yeah. I just think about my experience working with you and being able to like pop my head out, and then eventually my entire being going back into the oneness and being like, oh my God, like this is possible. This is actually natural. And then, the other experience of this has been for me is like, yeah, like this, but it's not a one-stop shop. Like this is going to be an ongoing journey. But this level of clearing I experienced made me more aware of my dissonance. And it was like, so when things that come up that are dissonance, it's like, it's not like, it's like, oh, like, oh, like I can feel that judgment so much more poignantly now. I can feel that disconnections. It's more uncomfortable now because it's like it was like that house cleaning happened. So like I vacuumed up the mud on the carpet. I put away all the crap on the floor. And now the other parts that are like, I'm still here and you still need to deal with me. I can sense, feel, and encounter them in a way that before they were masked. Like, so the mud's gone from the carpet, but there are some stains on the carpet that are going to need some deep cleaning. And I need to know that, like this is what this has given me. It's given me the liberation to be able to see that. And now, but I've already done this work with Kevin. So I know that when I go into that, it's more of the same. It might be different emotions, different range of emotions, but I know I can do it because I did this process with him thus far. I can do what's next.
So here's the shadow that has come up for me, right? There's, from the time I was in utero and in a young child, I took on a belief that my presence causes pain, right? So imagine carrying that belief system in through your teenage and adult years, that attraction that I'm causing pain causes pain, right? The belief that, and I hurt people with that.
Yes, I hurt people by being alive.
Exactly. And that happens, energetically and physically and practically, and things that you're ashamed that you've done and who you've been, and it took me a long time to work through it, and I'm still would say, it still shows up, but I had a transformation, in the last, it was about a year and a half ago, from my presence causes pain to my presence opens an opportunity for healing. And sometimes that's painful. And just the shift in awareness, the shift in belief, right, just causes your being to show up different. You've attached yourself to a new way of being, because any way you want to be in your body, you can be. You're an infinite spirit, right? But how do you want to show up, right? What is your belief in how you show up?
My presence causes healing, which sometimes, say that again.
Yeah, my presence provides an opportunity for healing, right? It's still, I'm not attached to you getting, my presence provides and sometimes that's painful.
My presence provides an opportunity for healing, and sometimes that's painful. God, it's so empowering. Because you get to be your full range of self. I can feel it in my heart.
I mean, and even right now in this moment, just feeling that pain, that sometimes my presence provides an opportunity to feel. It's painful, but in that there is an opportunity for transition, for transformation, for awakening.
Yeah, you can pull that. You can keep pulling that thread and keep getting more strands of gold that just pour
And
right out of it.
Yeah, and it's, you know, and I hope you're not hearing this, that this is a ticket for me to do whatever rotten thing that I'm going to
Jesus.
up to.
Oh
you know, it's
go
different.
curse a fig tree, Kevin. For all I care, I'm not going to stop you.
I just, I want to be as much
Linda.
love. I want to be as much
no
love
one's going
in
to take
life
it that
as I can.
way unless their ears are full of cotton and they're not in the right show. Go ahead, Linda.
Well, I think there's a subtle difference between, being a sadistic a-hole and
subtle difference
and saying, I'm here doing the best I can in the moment, here and now, loving who I've been, loving who I am, loving who I will be. And I recognize my presence offers an opportunity for healing. And I'm not responsible for your healing. I'm responsible for my healing. And allowing your presence to be all that you can be and not own others has been a huge, and I'm sure will be, a continued work that I do with Kevin of, where am I in this process and whose feelings am I being responsible for? What illusion do I have of having the power over someone else's experience?
So well said.
That's well said. Thank you. Thank you for being such an awesome life coach, Linda.
Right? She's fucking amazing. Every fucking day, she's amazing.
Oh, Kat, love you so much. We're just having a little love fest here. That's all, folks.
Well, it's just the realness of it. Because I know all the things that Linda has gone through. I know how beautiful she is. And what a diamond, what a gem, what a priceless gem she is. And I'm hanging out with 3 other empaths, so I'm just all up in my fucking feelings. I'm all up in my fucking feelings, and I'm not going to apologize. Not going to apologize.
That's where we started, isn't it?
Yep, that's exactly right. All right. Ooh. I think it's a good time probably to transition over into, I want to also say that like my personality, one of the things I got out, we're going to transition into meditation. One of the things that I got out of working with Kevin, it was Thursday, it's really raw and close, is that like I'm big and I have no reason to apologize for it. I have a big presence. I have a big personality. I'm not going to fucking apologize for it. Done. So it's just, that's where I'm that's where I'm at. And that's a point of liberation that I want to pass that along to whoever wants to experience that. And then one way you can experience it is by working with Kevin Lockwood. All right. So, Mr. Kevin, would you do us the honors of
say goodbye to Jillian. Jillian, do you want to say anything before you leave?
Oh, Jillian.
Thank you. No, this was great. It's like I was saying, very eye-opening. And
you have to pick up Max, your man.
Yeah, I have to go get Max. That's my son. Yeah, I hope that we can chat again someday. Like, I really like your approach, and I might follow Kat and Linda's suit and take a look at what's going on.
Come to a free meditation class.
Yes. Talk about that right now. Talk about that. They'll do the meditation. Great. Free meditation and a free hour coaching for people who are showing up today.
Yeah. So yeah, either one.
Either one.
If you're looking, if you have questions, you want to explore life for yourself, the coaching class is great. Just it's an hour just to get to know each other and to explore things. I love doing it. I do like 3 of them a week with people. And then the other thing is every other Monday there's a free meditation class, and I am blown away by the authenticity, the realism, the stuff that people can share and explore, in the course of the hour we spend together. Some real work happens there, in the grace of just being present and sharing time together.
Right on. I'm going to look into that.
And I think Kat put it in the chat box somewhere.
Awesome.
Yeah, the links are down there in the chat box, so they're available to everybody.
All right. Well, thanks, guys. I'm going to take off.
Love you, Jillian.
Love you too. Thank you.
See you on
Lots
Facebook.
of comments for you, Jillian.
Okay, I'll take a look. I figured out how to read them in the chat going back now, so I'll take a peek. Bye.
Hi, Jillian. Thanks for being here.
Excellent. All right. Wow, what a fucking good show. I have said fuck so many times on the show, more than any other show I've ever had, all combined. It's so liberating. It's so liberating.
And are gonna love us.
The what?
The algorithms and Google or YouTube are gonna love us.
I can't live in that box.
I know. So we're gonna depend on people sharing this to get the word out.
That's right.
Please do so.
I think authenticity is more powerful than algorithms. I'm gonna believe that.
Absolutely. We're infinite beings experiencing this. We can bypass algorithms.
Boom. Winning. Mic drop.
Where's that mic?
Yeah, there you go. All right. I can feel Kevin shifting into meditation mode. So let him do his magic. And it is, and you just have, I'll shut up, Kevin. It's all yours.
Oh, Kat. I'm just going to welcome everyone to whatever you're doing, whatever other things might be calling your attention, to just sit down and find a comfortable seat. Wiggle your body so it's comfortable. And we won't be here long. It'll just be a short little journey. And whatever's here, or whatever's happening in your life right now, that in welcoming that, we can set it aside for just a few moments and bring our attention to the silence that's always here. And maybe in this silence you hear the sounds in the room or outside the room you're in. Just welcome those in as well. And as you open your awareness into this that's already here, it's always been here. Allowing the space between the thoughts to grow even wider. And if a thought comes up, it's just like a sound. You can acknowledge it, and let it be. It's all welcome. And as we breathe into this moment, I'd like you to just bring you to your awareness something that's challenging you right now. It could be something that doesn't feel good, or a situation with a person, or at work, or maybe at home. And just welcome your awareness of that situation, and notice whatever you're feeling. And even if it's nullness or dullness or nothingness, just welcome that in. Welcome whatever emotion is associated with that situation. It's okay. It's okay to feel it. It's just energy. And you might even give that emotion a shape or color. So and if it's hard to imagine, just imagine a shape and and give it the shape. Imagine the color and give it the color. Notice what texture it has. The temperature. How bright or dark it is. And I'd like you to welcome this emotion to just come sit with you. Imagine you're sitting at a campfire together, a very sacred campfire, a campfire of eternal silence and unconditional love. And you can even welcome a mentor or guide or angel to sit at the campfire with you. It could be somebody you know or would like to know, or someone real or born of your imagination, like a superpower. Just trust whoever shows up. And if you can't get a sense of the energy of knowing that there's a mentor here with you in this space at the campfire with your emotion. And I'd like you to turn to that emotion and just ask it how long it's been living in your body. How many times has it been repressed or stuffed down? How many times has it perpetuated long after the situation has passed? And ask it what wisdom it has for you. What else? What resources would be helpful to work with it? Beautiful. And ask your mentor what additional wisdom they may have for you. Beautiful. Know that whatever has come up is perfect. Know that you're on a perfect path of self-discovery and personal freedom. And just taking a pause to sit with this emotion, it's a perfect step of unfolding the next level of awareness and freedom that's here for you. You can just thank this energy of emotion for revealing itself. Thank your mentor for sharing time with you. Know that you can come back to this campfire anytime you wish, to feel this emotion, to listen to it, to gain wisdom from it. And you can share time with your mentor anytime you wish. It's safe. It's safe to feel, just like us, energy that comes and goes. And then taking a deep breath in. Bring your awareness back into the space, back into your body, back into the sounds of the room. Rub your hands together. Create some warmth and heat, and just put your hands over your eyes. And begin to gently open your eyes, knowing that all parts of you will continue to integrate this awareness perfectly, naturally, of its own accord, without you having to do a thing, the same way that your eyes shine, your heart beats, your hair grows perfectly naturally. You can open your eyes behind your hands and let your hands drop and come back. Thank you.
I don't want to come back. All right. Thank you, Kevin.
Thanks, Kat.
I love you.
Love you too, pal. Love you, Linda.
Thank you. Every time I do one of your meditations, it's like a waterfall for me, one. Waterfall of emotion that goes through, and I will go back to this recording over and over again just for the meditation, if nothing else.
Nice.
Come on Monday. We would love to have you.
I know. Yes.
Yeah, so that's a meditation that's linked below. There's a Monday meditation. And then also Kevin talked, and so he's got an hour of Kevin's time for free, like one-on-one. I don't even know if I support this, but it's a goal to grab it while it's there. It's an hour of Kevin one-on-one for nothing.
You're right. At some point, Kat, it'll exceed 3 appointments a week, and I'll say I can't do any more than that, and I'll have to do something different. I'll have to filter.
Yeah,
but right now it's good. It's
a huge generous gift. It's gonna have to, because he won't have time at a certain point.
Yeah.
But then also you have an ET meditation, a CE5 meditation. What was this now?
Oh, I'm not doing that, but and we lost Jillian.
Oh.
Yeah, we'll go hang out. It's not my meditation, but it's gonna be fun.
Okay. Well, we'll post some information about that later.
Yeah, I don't think it's been a time and date set yet. So
okay, all right. So that was a bit of a teaser. We'll come back to that.
Okay.
Also, Kevin will be, or you will be a part of our group. I'm just saying that.
I will.
Make sure that you don't have a choice. Make sure that you join our Third Eye Salon, because we will have more opportunities that we put in there, and our Facebook group. So make sure that you're part of that as well. And the conversation, I'm sure, will continue there.
Yeah. I think this is going to be a conversation that doesn't stop, because I think this is the pathway home, is through your emotions, through your heart, back into the oneness.
You want me? You just say that title again, because you just say, "Oh, fucking emotions,
motherfucking feelings."
Oh yes.
Mother blessed feelings. So as we are closing up here, as we are wrapping up, again, obviously, Miss Jillian, she's never lost to us. She's always with us. We're all empathic. Thank you, Jillian, for being with us. Thank you, Miss Linda, for just being the radiant star being that you are, and being with us, and being my friend, Linda.
I'm just filling our chat with hearts and love for everybody.
Yeah. Thank you, everyone, for being on the stream with us, for showing up, for being in this journey with us. And of course, thank you, Kevin Lockwood, for being the radiant being and light, essence of light and love that you are. And I want to let you guys all know who our guest is for next week, and it is Preston Dennett. So he's a UFO researcher, and he's been doing this since like 1986. He has friends and family and coworkers, and also himself, that had experiences. And so he's going to be coming on the show. We're going to be sharing his research, what he's discovered, but also his encounters and what makes him tick. He has videos, books. He has 27 books that he's put out there, and over more than 100 articles on UFOs and the paranormal. So he's somebody who's up to his eyeballs in this. So we were very excited to have him there. And again, we always ask that you, if you enjoyed any of this talk today, hit the like button, and please join our community, subscribe, join us on Facebook, hit the notification bell so you know when we go live, because it's not always the same time. Sometimes it is, sometimes it's not. And just be your authentic self and shine who you are to the world. Any last thoughts or words, Kevin, before we do our final goodbye?
Gratitude, just love for you. Thanks, friend.
Thank you. All right. Thank you, everyone. We'll see you next week, and we'll see you on Facebook. Bye.